You're tuned in to Nerd Overload, your weekly pop and geek culture show covering movies, TV, games, and comics. Now your hosts, Cody Pinnick, Sam Dunham, and Josh Harrison.
Hey everybody, welcome to Nerd Overload, the pop and geek culture show that's ready to party. It's ready and hopes you bring lots of spaghetti. I'm Cody.
I'm Sam.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Samantha.
We have a great show for you this week. We have a bunch of news to talk about, a couple of movie trailers, some video game news. We're going to talk about Pokemon Sleep, my favorite. My favorite thing to do.
When you're
Pokemon
with
and
us,
Sleep.
the fun never ends.
That's right. I just had a flash of the Garfield and Friends theme song in my head.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. Okay, good.
Doing.
Okay, good. I'm glad. But first, let's go ahead and get into some of our check it outs.
Check it out!
Oh, I waited too long. I thought I had a clip, but I waited too long.
I feel like Garfield and Friends is one of those theme songs that everybody knows the words to.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of how much they actually liked Garfield and Friends.
I can't visualize the words, but once the song plays, I will be able to sing every note.
That's how I am with a lot of songs, period.
Yeah.
Like, I could sit there and go, if it's playing, I'm like...
So what you're saying is you checked out Garfield and Friends, the seminal cartoon classic.
I mean, I listened to a podcast about it today.
Okay, yeah.
I listened to an episode of What a Cartoon about Garfield and Friends, and that's why I had the theme song on my brain.
Makes sense.
I think I preferred the and Friends to the Garfield part.
Really?
U.S. Acres?
You like the U.S. Acres, guys?
But I also haven't watched it since I was a wee little lad.
That might be why.
That could be, yeah. U.S. Acres was always okay as a nice break from the Garfield, but Garfield was really the star of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best part is like the little quip that he says after the theme song. Mm-hmm. There's like some real good ones of that.
There's some good stuff, yeah. Okay, Garfield and Friends are Heathcliff, the cartoon.
Oh, the cartoon Garfield, the newspaper comic strip Heathcliff all day, every day.
Accurate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, but the Garfield doesn't have the Cadillac cats, though.
That's true. He doesn't have the Cadillac cats, but he has Nermal, and he always sends them to Abu Dhabi.
True. Okay, what have we been checking out? For real?
Okay, I have been playing some Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Finally started on it the other day, and it's fine.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad. It needs some work, but it's not bad.
I enjoyed my time with it.
I wish they would have used a few more of the features that they did in Pokemon Arceus.
Everyone does.
Yeah. The biggest one, honestly, is... Well, the two biggest ones. The idea that you can catch Pokemon without battling, I wish that transferred over. I really, really do.
And just the stealth stuff. It doesn't really work hardly. Yeah, like you can kind of do it,
you
but
can
not
crouch,
really.
but it's not really anything.
Yeah.
The other thing that I kind of wish that they had copied over from Arceus pretended to be an open world game, but it really wasn't because it had zones. I wish this game had zones.
I mean, it's split up that way anyway.
It's split up that way anyway, but then you run into the issue that I did, where I ended up in an area that was way over my head and had a heck of a time getting back from it.
I liked that to a point because I ended up doing a couple things out of order that were a little more challenging than the normal game.
Oh, I did too, but it was also incredibly frustrating when I just want to kind of sit down and play the game for a little bit. I don't like being railroaded, but I do wish it had a little, just a fraction, just a kiss more structure to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not talking about like way too hard. I'm talking about like maybe a couple levels above me kind of hard.
Oh, I went in the absolute wrong direction and ended up at a gym that was incredibly high level, and all the Pokemon around it were also incredibly high level, and I kept dying trying to get back from that level because I went to a Poke Center near there by accident.
When you do that, is it even really open world at that point?
It's not.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can go there, sure, but you can't do anything.
You can't do anything.
So what's the point?
You can flounder. You can flounder and get mad, and that's what I did. I floundered and got mad.
You can waste potions and time.
Yeah.
The other thing I did was I watched a couple of low-budget action movies that can both be found for free on YouTube. Fight of Fury, starring Kung Fu action star Shuni B.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's made it onto a lot of like modern day bad movie lists. It is terrible. Terrible. Poor acting. Everything was shot without sound, and everything was 80 yard in. And the editor, also Shuni B, he karate chopped the film until editing happened. He made the weird choice to put a heavy reverb on every line of dialogue, whether the actors are indoors, outdoors, anything. Like, I can understand being in like a warehouse or something, you want to put a little bit of a reverb on a voice to
like
make
an
it kind
echo,
of an echo, something like that. But everything is just so. It sounds like he's talking in a tunnel.
It's probably the one mic they probably had.
Yeah. Well,
They had like a shotgun mic on the camera.
but it's weird. They didn't record any of the sound when they were doing the thing. Everything was 80 yard in afterwards. So it was a conscious choice to add a reverb to every line of dialogue.
Every time I think of like heavy reverb, all I think of is the death sound from the NES game Kung Fu.
Yeah. The other one I watched is a low budget. This is one of those, they know it's a joke and they purposely made a bad movie, which I typically don't like. Commando Ninja.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
It's only an hour long, and I'm glad, because any more and it would be unbearable to watch. It was riding that line. There's a guy who is a robot. There's a guy who is a commando commando from the Vietnam War who also is trained in ninjutsu. He throws exploding shurikens and has a Gatling gun on one arm and a samurai sword on the other, and it's a white guy. It's just a white guy doing it. Not even like an in-shape white guy. It's like they filmed it in their backyard and the park across the street from their apartment complex. That's all it is. But there is a little bit of charm to it, and they're making fun of. It's almost like Kung Fury, but just not with that level of special effects.
Where am I? You're in Viking times. That explains the velociraptors.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of non sequiturs like that.
I love Kung Fury.
I will say I am glad that they used primarily squibs instead of digital blood effects.
Digital blood looks like garbage.
It looks like, yeah, and using
like all that stuff that Neil Breen does.
Oh god, well, Neil Breen is on a completely other level. We don't
need to go down that hole again.
Not until Cade, the Tortured Crossing, comes out, and you all are going to watch it.
Not until you can PayPal Neil Breen $20 so he can burn you a copy of his film.
Put it on a CDR. an unlabeled CDR in a jewel case. Send it through the mail. All right, well, that's what I've been doing. So what have you guys been up to this week?
Well, during our time off, I contracted COVID again, so I had time on my hands. So I watched a few anime series. That's not My Hero or something else.
Mm-hmm.
We did finish Spy Family finally.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I love that show so much.
It didn't. I figured it would go out on a big cliffhanger with some big story thing, but it didn't.
Well, I think they're kind of setting up like the big thing, like where Lloyd's actually going to like actually start focusing on his mission.
Yeah.
But I love that show. It's so cute, and I love it.
I think there's one episode where they get a hold of these gaudy rings, and they say something offhand about giving them to the handler lady. And then for the rest of the series, she's wearing them. And it's just that little detail is so good.
Also, I hate Agent, what's her name? Winter or whatever her name is. Something
Frost?
Something like that. Yeah, the white-haired one.
Yeah. I don't. She's at least better than Yuri.
Oh, yeah, I hate Yuri. I don't like Yor's brother.
Yeah, the tennis arc was fun. There was just 2 episodes that was a tennis tournament.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah, they had to pretend to be this other couple, like Lloyd and his spy partner, or another agent from his agency or whatever, had to pretend to be a couple.
And their last name was Phony.
Yeah, that was
Nice.
yeah, their last name was Phony. I was like,
Nice.
that's a funny detail. I like that. But yeah, I love Spy Family. It's probably one of my favorite anime to come out in a long time.
Agree. Agree.
It's so wholesome. Like it could lean real hard into the stupid action stuff, but it doesn't. And I love that. Also, all the music, the openings and the closings are just great. Anyway, so I watched 2 Netflix original animes. Both were really short, about 5-6 episodes or so. One was called Vampire in the Garden.
You don't want vampires there.
I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
Yeah, but it's about a...
Thanks for no selling that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Nicolas Cage and Vampire's Kiss. What more do you need to say about
That's
it?
fair. That's fair. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
But it's in a post-apocalyptic world where there was a virus, but instead of being like a disease, it caused vampirism.
A vampirus.
Yes, a vampirus.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
And so it's like what's left of humanity and what the world they deal with vampires. But also vampires themselves are kind of almost dying out too because they're succumbing to...
COVID.
Not so much. No, it's like a disease, but it's not. I mean, it's where if they don't get enough blood, they kind of turn into like mindless monsters, and then they eventually die.
They succumb to the beast. It's
Yeah, pretty much.
It's the masquerade.
Pretty much. And it's also set in Russia, so there's a very like Russian aesthetic to everything, like czarist like era paintings on walls and things like that. It's very beautifully. The big selling point is a girl from the human city or whatever, civilization, whatever. She is the daughter of a high-ranking military general or whatever, and she gets entangled with this vampire queen who doesn't want to kill people. She just wants to dance and live her life and not drink blood, which is also making her sick.
I mean, goals, right, guys?
Yeah. But it's basically kind of like a Romeo Juliet kind of story where they go run off together and the two sides are like, coming together to stop them or tear them apart or whatever. But it's very beautifully done. It's a very good looking anime. Like I said, it's very short, 6 episodes, but I think it tells a very good story and I really liked it. The other one I watched was called Eden, and it had more of a CGI cell shaded kind of look to it.
Man, some people hate that for some reason.
Oh, I know. People lose their minds over it. It's all right. I mean, it is kind of a disconnect when you go from like a more traditional looking one to that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an anime where I'm like, boy, this looks so much better CG than it would otherwise. But also, like, a lot of times the show just wouldn't even exist if they couldn't do it in CG.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Yeah. I don't know. The CGI remake of Ghost in the Shell, I did not care for. I really liked the original version.
Yeah, they
Oh, with Scarlett Johansson.
No. I mean, yes, but not the remake of the original movie.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
Then there was a Netflix series too that was all CG, and they made
Arise.
Yeah, they made the Major look like a
Kid.
anime high school girl.
Yeah, she looks like a kid. It's really awkward. Yeah, also the story in that one's not as good. Anyway, it's called Eden, and it's about another post-apocalyptic world where robots are caring for the world, like they're growing crops, like, well, specifically in this one, apples.
before you continue, that just kind of dawned on me. They say media reflects the mood and thoughts of the time, and it's kind of interesting to me that in our post-COVID world, a lot of media is dealing with post-apocalyptic type situations. It's just kind of telling what is on the minds of most people.
Yeah, back in the day, we had techno futures and and cyberpunk aesthetics. Now it's all, well, what if the world when humans are gone?
Well, yeah, I mean, even in the 70s, you had the anti-government, the government doesn't actually know what they're doing kind of situations. That was
And
signs of the nuclear war. I mean, Cold War era stuff, and it's just kind of telling that we're getting a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff. I mean, we've always had a little bit of that, but a lot. It's definitely more.
It's definitely more
increase in
active.
that.
It's
Yeah.
definitely more active. Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so in this world, there are no humans. You don't know where they're at. It's not explained for a minute. But these two robots find a pod device, whatever, that's open, and there's a human baby in it.
Oh.
And they...
This is that Ridley Scott show.
Not
on
quite.
HBO Max.
hey, I liked
Raised by Wolves.
Raised by Wolves.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it was interesting. I didn't hate it.
I don't think I ever actually... I got pretty far, but I'm not sure I actually finished the second season.
Same. We watched maybe 3 or 4 of them.
It was a good show. I liked the show. But anyway, so they find this human baby and they decide to run away and raise it because they're human artifacts and human things are seen as illegal by the operator of their society, I guess.
This isn't the one that's a fairy tale spinoff, is it?
No.
Good.
Nope. This is specifically its own thing. I mean, I called the twist pretty early on in the movie, but I mean, it's all right. It's cute. The human girl reminds me a lot of she's kind of like a Winry from like she builds things, she tinkers. She's got weird mannerisms because she was raised by robots. It's kind of funny. Like sometimes she'll say like something and it's like a swear in like the robot language or whatever.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And they're like, Sarah, watch your language.
Bleep, bleep, bloop.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much what the robot language is like. Mm-hmm. But it was another short 5-6 episode. There's a giant mecha fight that's pretty rad.
Nice.
But I it was cute. I liked it. And then we started watching Mob Psycho 100.
I've heard good things.
From the creator of One Punch Man.
Oh, okay.
Which it's a very good series. We're in the 3rd season of it. I really, really like it.
Maybe that's what we should watch next.
Basically, the selling point of that show is you have this high schooler. His nickname is Mob. I haven't quite figured out why he's called Mob.
Oh, this is the psychic one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The psychic one that's not the Misadventures of Psychic-y. Which was
okay,
another
you
one.
said a bunch of
on Netflix.
syllables?
Yeah, it was another Netflix
Oh, it's
one.
another one. Okay,
yeah, it's a
one of
Netflix
those.
one where the guy's got pink hair and he's got these little devices on his head.
Oh, okay.
But Mob Psycho has the Japanese high schooler with the bowl cut.
Right. He looks like Saitama with a bowl cut.
Yeah, he looks like Saitama with a bowl cut.
Yeah.
Because the guy is not
The best
not
artist.
The best artist.
No.
But that's fine.
That's
You're
fine.
allowed to be.
But
Yeah.
but he has psychic powers, and his whole thing is he doesn't know how to deal with them, and so he finds this guy who says he's a psychic / medium / evil spirit exorcist. In reality, he's just a con man. Mm-hmm. But he tricks people into like he actually knows what he's doing, and anytime an actual psychic level of threat comes up, he's like, you know what, Mob, this is a bit beneath my skill. Won't you take care of it as my apprentice?
Okay.
Kind of
so
thing.
it's one of those.
It's
Gotcha.
that show Psych.
It is kind of psych. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of it is not even so much like Mob using his powers, is he runs into these other psychics and stuff that think they're powerful all beings or whatever because they have these
And
powers.
he defeats them with one punch.
No, he defeats them with a positive
I was
attitude.
going to say crying.
No, he's not Deku.
Okay.
But no, with basically a positive attitude of him trying to find his place in the world and actually have friends and enjoy the life that he wants, whether he had these powers or not. And there's a whole lot of like positivity to it, and it just makes me feel good watching it. Like he joins this club called like the Psychic Finders Club or whatever, and this led by this girl who wants to find other psychics and document them. But at the same time, this other club tries to take their club room, and they're a fitness club called the Body Improvement Club. So he actually ends up accidentally joining both.
Oh, interesting.
But he wants to improve himself, so that's why he's part of the Body Improvement Club. And all the guys in there are like JoJo level jack dudes, but they're also so positive, and they're always lifting Mob up, like emotionally. They're like,
And physically.
Yeah, well, yes, and physically, yeah. Like they'll go on runs, and they'll pick him up on his shoulders, and they're like, "Yeah, you did it, bud."
Well, that's cool that the power of positivity.
Oh, it's super good, and I love it, and it's such a great
kinda
show.
Cool. Yeah,
It's nice having an anime protagonist. Yeah, he is kind of all powerful, but he's not like thinking he's the god of this world or whatever.
It's another deconstruction of the shonen protagonist,
Right.
just like One Punch Man.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, that's cool. Right on.
And other than that, been playing God of War Ragnarok. I'm a couple hours in,
Okay, cool.
and it made me sad the first 2 minutes.
I've played through all of Atomic Heart, the new like immersive sim Bioshock-esque, yeah.
Retro future, retro Soviet Union.
Yeah, it takes place in an alternate history where the Soviet Union has become incredibly technically advanced and they have a bunch of robots.
But it still has like that 1950s retro future look to it.
Yeah, but Soviet, not like Bioshock, so it's different.
Or Fallout.
It's weird because tonally it doesn't know what it wants. It wants to tell kind of a serious Bioshock story, but it also the main character is just awful. It's one of the worst written like main characters in any game I've ever played.
Really?
He's
he's also like, he's an agent of the state. He's a KGB agent, and he's like pro-government G-man.
Well, he has a catchphrase he says all the time, crispy critters.
Oh.
Which I don't know why or what.
Yeah.
Especially since the main things you fight are just robots.
Yeah, it's all robots.
They're not even critters. They're just robots.
But he says it a lot. Apparently, this game is made by Russians.
Yeah.
And apparently, in the Russian version, he says like a Russian nonsense exclamation phrase that does not translate. And apparently, they thought that crispy critters was a good.
Well, it is a nonsense
substitute.
phrase.
It is.
Yeah.
But it also just really sucks. and they try to make him sound like kind of like, I guess he's supposed to be like a pastiche of an action character guy.
Okay.
But he just comes off as like a bad action character guy.
In the live action American commercials for it, they got what's his face from Supernatural to play the one who plays Dean, Jason Ackles or whatever his name is.
Jensen Ackles.
Jensen Ackles.
Yeah, plays the live action version of the guy in the commercial.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even try to like use an accent or anything in the commercial. They're just like, this
Yeah,
little
he-
girl's like, how are we gonna fight the robots? And he has like a baseball bat covered in like circular saw blades and barbed
that's in the
wire.
game, yeah.
I know it is, but yeah, he just bashes things in a room.
But the story's interesting, and it's a lot of back and forth about humanity being made into a collective hive mind situation and the ethics of that. But it also wants you to not take it seriously sometimes.
Gotcha.
Also, everyone's all thirsty about those robot twins.
Oh yes, the twins, left and right.
Yeah, they're all part of the marketing images and stuff. And a lot of people have been talking about it online because the way they're done and the hairstyle they chose to give them, they think it's a slight against a Ukrainian public official. This woman who has the exact same hairstyle.
Well,
Yeah, it makes you feel funny, don't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit above our pay grade on this show, I think. Yeah.
So it's fun enough to play. It's worth a playthrough. Like, there's a lot of things you can say about it and things that don't work or things that do work. And it's a big mishmash of people not agreeing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's been reviewing all over the place because it really depends.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
it really depends
Yeah.
on what you're looking for. But, like, at least it's interesting. That's
Okay.
what I had to say about it. It's a lot of things, but at least it's interesting, which is more than you can say about a lot of games.
A lot
that
of
come
stuff.
out.
Yeah.
I would suggest not paying for it outright, though.
Yeah, I played it on Game Pass, so it was already bought and paid for by my friends at Microsoft.
Well, there we go. All right. Well, hey, let's go ahead and take a break here. And when we come back, we are going to get into some news. The folks at Sidekicks Coffee are more than happy to make you your favorite hot or iced coffee, tea, hot chocolate, lattes, and more. Sidekicks have 2 locations. In the Marion Center Mall, Tuesday through Saturday, opening at 10 a.m., and their on-the-road drive-up next to the Pet Sanctuary on Marion Waldo Road, Tuesday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Sidekicks Coffee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Dunham, the host of Long Play. Long Play might be, as far as anyone can tell, a hit from coast to coast. Apparently, Long Play may also be an international sensation. I've contacted WZMO's sister station in Paris to check the pulse of the City of Lights. Bonjour! Avec Long Play?
Tu vas te tuer, espèce d'idiot. C'est incroyable.
My French is a little rusty, but I think she said we're a hit.
Imbécile.
I invite you to tune into Long Play Fridays at 11 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. Juste ici on WZMO.
Hey, we are back from the break. Let's go ahead and get into some news.
If you crave satisfaction, this is the place to find that action.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good clip. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I needed to put some kind of Rudy Ray Moore onto
of course,
the board.
of course.
And there's so few that I could actually choose and be allowed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about some news. So we have a bunch of video game stuff to go over, but I think what we're going to do first is knock out a couple of these movie trailers. Just, because they're worth talking about too. The first one we have here is The Machine, which when I first heard about this movie, I was not interested in the least.
No, not really.
Yeah, so there is a stand-up comedian. You might have seen him on the TikTok or possibly
Facebook or social media.
Some kind of social media about Bert Kirshner, who his whole stand-up career is based around this one anecdote he had about maybe possibly accidentally falling in with the Russian mafia during a college trip to Russia. And these mafia people allegedly let him party with them.
Well, they had according to his story, they for security on their college trip, they had a
Russian mob,
basically a local thug, kind of like hanging out with him, and he got in buddy with him, and it turned into a drinking fest, and then debauchery happens.
Right,
that's the whole story.
And of course, a lot of it is blown out of proportion because that's what comedians do.
That's his whole bit. He yells and doesn't wear a shirt. That's his whole stand-up carear.
Yes. Well, they announced that they were going to be making a movie called The Machine about this stand-up comedy act, and I'm like, how could why? That seems kind of lame and dumb. I mean, I get it. It's this guy's one thing, but
it's like making a You Might Be a Redneck If movie.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. But as it turns out, this movie is a fictionalized take on the future ramifications of being the machine.
Yeah. Years later, a person from Russia comes back looking for him for some slight that happened back then. And Brett and his dad, played by Mark Hamill.
Yes.
Have to get into some hangover-esque shenanigans.
Mark Hamill, which is 70% of why this movie looks good.
Oh, yeah.
It's Mark Hamill.
At one point, he does the Joker voice.
I mean, it's Mark Hamill.
He can't not do the Joker voice.
I don't think he could turn it off anymore. It's just so ingrained into his personality.
Yeah. But it made a topic seem that I had no interest in seem kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm in.
It's okay. All right. We're leaning into it now.
Yeah, I just like the concept of this Russian femme fatale showing up at his son's birthday party.
Yeah.
We have to go back to Russia.
Yeah. You stole something during your night of drinking with the Russian mob, and now you have to go back and make it right.
Will it be good? I don't know. Apparently, Cocaine Bear is, so who knows? Anything can happen.
I so want to see Cocaine Bear.
It's apparently pretty good.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things. But forget all of that. Let me tell you about Paint. We accidentally fell into this trailer.
Yeah.
We were looking for stuff for the show. We ended up not doing a show last week, but we were looking for stuff for the show and accidentally found a trailer for a upcoming movie called Paint, in which, I mean, it's very P.T. Anderson-esque, very kind of folksy, kind of quirky.
You mean Wes Anderson?
Wes Anderson.
Oh, yeah. Which one's P.T.?
Is he the one that does the Resident Evil movie?
Yeah, you're right. It's not the Resident... Okay, the opposite.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson is the one I meant.
Those quirky movies.
the quirky comedy man, P.T. Anderson. With those classic comedies, Resident Evil,
Monster Hunter,
Monster Hunter,
and Mortal Kombat.
The quirky comedy, yes. But no.
Oh my God!
Get over here.
I would
for fun.
Can you imagine a Wes Anderson Mortal Kombat movie?
Oh man,
that was so good.
It'd be so great.
Finish him. Should I really? Yeah.
But this quirky comedy stars Owen Wilson as
a very on the nose.
He's basically Bob Ross,
but he's almost more like a dark Bob Ross. Though.
Well, it's his on-screen persona is Bob Ross. He has the afro. He paints the happy trees, and the whole thing is about how he lets the fame of being a public television painter go to his head, and then someone kind of steps in and becomes more popular than him.
And then he doesn't deal with it well.
But he deals with it very calmly, just not well.
Yeah.
But Owen Wilson has the voice. he's almost doing the wow voice, which I mean, I get is his voice.
It's his bit.
Well,
yeah.
it's his voice.
Well, yeah.
But he's very, very subdued. Very, yeah.
He drives a van with an airbrush wizard on the side while smoking a pipe.
Yeah. He had. It's so good. It looks so good.
Honestly, it would have been me like in the early 2000s if I had a van.
It's been a long time since we've had like a quirky indie comedy.
Yeah,
Like, it's
I'm
about
in.
time.
And I think Rosario Dawson plays the secondary painter that comes along and
Yeah.
makes things adds conflict to the story.
Well, technically, I guess the executives make the conflict for the story.
Right, but
Anyway.
yeah, but it looks good. It just looks like a good, fun, quirky, weird movie that I'm totally in for.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. I mean, maybe not in theater, but I'll watch it. I'm sure I'll come around to it sometime like I did Napoleon or something.
It has Napoleon Dynamite vibes a little bit.
Yeah, kinda. It's this.
I feel like
It's
a lot
not
of
as surreal.
I feel
as-
like a lot of those quirky like comedies kind of do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks like the Royal Tenenbaums, which is a Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
I got it right this time. Wes Anderson. The Royal Tenenbaums Mortal Kombat cross.
What was
Bill Murray.
What was that?
As
What-
Raiden.
Yeah.
How is my mind blanking on that one?
Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Jason Schwartzman.
This could have very easily, if Jason Schwartzman shows up in this somewhere, I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
He would be a good Johnny Cage in Wes Anderson's
He kind of
Mortal
would.
Kombat.
Yeah. So would you put the Gwyneth Paltrow as Sonya Blade?
Sonya Blade.
Yeah. Well, who's our Liu Kang? That's all we have left. Ben Stiller.
No.
But he's in all of those.
Yeah.
And he's not above race bending for roles.
I was just gonna say Randall Park.
Oh, Randall Park would be really good.
I mean, I
No,
don't think
yeah.
he's been in a Wes Anderson
But
movie,
he seems
now-
like the type.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes more sense.
I love Randall Park,
Yeah.
especially when he does close-up magic. Did you see he's going to be in Thunderbolts?
I mean, good.
Cool.
I like him, and Marvel needs to do something
No.
to make me interested.
Sorry, not in Randall Park. No, it's Stephen Yeun who's going to be in Thunderbolts. That's my bad.
Well, still, he's also a good actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish it was Randall Park.
Yeah, well,
you got my hopes up for
yeah.
nothing, Josh.
I'm sorry.
He was in Ant-Man for about 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, he's already in Marvel.
I have heard mixed reviews of Ant-Man.
I don't know why it's been reviewing so poorly, because it's not bad.
Is this the beginning of the widespread superhero fatigue? Like everything post Endgame up to this point was maybe like the embers, and now this is like the first big ugh.
But it was better than the last couple movies were. It was.
I don't know. Wakanda Forever is really good.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as Wakanda Forever, but it was better than Poopy Thor and.
I like Thor: Love and Thunder. Thank you.
Meh.
Don't you me.
And Doctor Strange wasn't bad, but it was better than Doctor Strange.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. Well, we've discussed this to death. I'm in that superhero fatigue where I just don't have the energy for it right now. I wish I did, and it makes me sad because 10 years ago, heck, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, the Sam would be like, "Oh my god, I have to watch all of these opening night. Holy crap!"
We did,
and we
for
did.
a minute.
We
I
did.
still do.
Yeah.
Well,
but I
yeah,
just
you
can't.
do. You have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
We don't.
All right, a couple more things here before we get into the games. Apparently, they're making more Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, Warner Brothers / Discovery has said, "Hey, we're making new Lord of the Rings movies." Out of what? I don't know, because they've mined,
The Moria.
Got all the
a mine. That's a reference from the movie. Anyway,
Okay.
about more. Anyway, so I don't know how this is going to work, because pretty much whatever they could pull out of the Silmarillion, they've pretty much pulled to fill in, to pad out the extended editions of The Lord of the Rings and the 3 Hobbit movies, even though we didn't need 3.
Did I tell you some guy made a cut of The Hobbit where he took out all of the chuff and stitched 3 movies into one 2.5 hour movie? And it works.
I'm sure it does, because the production of the Hobbit movies is so stupid.
Yeah.
Because they filmed the first movie not even knowing they're doing a trilogy. So the first movie is literally half the book.
Half the book. Yeah.
There's only one Hobbit book. Yeah, there were three.
That was a children's story.
Yeah, there were 3 Lord of the Rings books, and each movie was its own book.
Yeah.
But then we got into this whole thing where we got to take, one book and extend it into multiple films.
We could get more money.
Well, exactly. I know why they do. I know why they do it. I know why.
It's the same thing they did with the finale of the He Who Shall Not Be Named films.
Yeah.
And Twilight.
Yeah.
And
Twilight was the first one that did it.
I think Harry Potter was the first one.
There couldn't
It
have
was
been
very
enough
close between the two.
content in Twilight to break that into 2 movies.
And then
Yeah, that was
I think the last Hunger Games was
split.
Yeah.
split.
It was a splitter. Yeah. But
It's just the style of the time.
it was the style at the time.
Thanks, Grandpa Simpson.
Anyway, they're doing more Lord of the Rings movies. Of what? Who knows?
I mean,
maybe they're reboots.
Well, there are a few books that were written by Tolkien's son that were taken from notes that were in his study or whatever that never made it into actual
That were
books.
snuck out of his
half scribbled thoughts.
Yeah.
thrown in the waste bin.
What if more rings?
We got more
toe ring? Question mark.
Question mark.
Well, I mean,
The toe ring of the Lord.
Of the Lord.
of the Lord.
Lord of the toe rings. That's what I was going to say.
I like toe ring of the Lord better.
Toe ring of the Lord.
It was C.S. Lewis's add-in.
Yeah, that's it.
And then
yeah.
Aslan shows up.
Yeah.
Don't preach the old magic to me, Gandalf. I was there when it was written.
All right, we got to get into this game news stuff.
Yes.
So let's do the PlayStation State of Play first. Let's just hit the high notes of these because reading through every single one is kind of
Yeah.
Now,
And
do you consider them actual high notes or high notes as far as we're concerned?
As far as we're concerned.
I'm seeing some Street Fighter 6 on there, Sam.
Oh, well, Street Fighter 6.
Oh yeah, let's do the Street Fighter part.
Oh, yeah. Get the Street Fighter light switch ready, just like the Power Rangers light switch. No, they announced 3 more characters, and this rounds out the entire starting cast. When Street Fighter 6 eventually drops, and they're all returning 2 returning characters and 1 that is practically a returning character. We have Zangief or
My
Zangief, however you pronounce it.
Russian muscle boy.
Yep, and he's getting more wrestling moves, like more legit professional wrestling moves. He like sells to the crowd. And he doesn't. The only move he doesn't get back from any of the previous games is the green hand, the backhand that he can deflect.
Oh,
that he can do through fireballs.
Yeah, that's how
He's
you you cancel out Hadokens and stuff.
Yeah, but he doesn't get green hand back, but he gets everything else.
When we were watching this one, I was just going, do the spinning pile driver, and then he immediately did it.
And he
I'm
did.
like, yay!
Pretty much.
And I clapped. I clapped when I saw it.
When I saw it. Yeah, but he looks great. I'm really, really interested to see what they do because he has everything from every game that he has been in. Yeah,
And that's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games. He was in the Alpha series. He was in the EX series.
He was in Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2. There is Lily Hawk, who is the daughter of T-Hawk from Street Fighter 2, the new challengers. She is a joke character, which they haven't really had for a while. They tried to turn Blanca into a joke character, and Dan, you can only do so much with. I love my boy Dan, but he's Steven Seagal, and that's the joke.
People like Blanca too much.
People
to
like
turn him
Blanca.
into a
I mean,
joke
to be
character.
fair, I was a big Blanca stan for a long time.
Same. When Street Fighter 2, yeah, Blanca was my dude.
Well, he was also the most broken.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he could bite people.
Yeah, it's like you have an entire cast of normal people and then a green monster man. Yeah. Which one are you going to pick? Of course it's the green monster man. But Lily Hawk, she is a tiny girl who is also a grappler. And it's explained that she has vague wind powers because she's Native American. And that is how
they
she
all
can
have those.
Well, yeah. And that's how
Can
she
you fight with all the colors of the wind?
Kinda, yeah. But that's how she's able to lift people up because of the vague wind
Lily
powers.
Hawk, the last airbender.
Kinda, yeah.
She can throw with all the colors of the wind.
Yep. But she looks like a lot of fun. In fact, her finishing move, she actually botches it halfway through and ends up like landing like butt first on the opponent. Just as a joke.
Yeah, a very common trope.
I just wish she wasn't like 9.
Yeah, but
She looks like she's like 9.
but that is true. However, how old was Sakura when she started?
At least 14.
14?
Which is better than 9.
Yeah, that's true.
She's
guess.
probably not 9. She just is very youthful looking.
I don't
No,
know.
she actually looks.
She looks like she's like 9.
She looks preteen, but it looks fun. And then they brought Cammy back, and maybe her best costume I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a very good Cammy.
Forget Yoga Fire. She's got yoga pants. I've been sitting on that joke for 2 weeks, guys. Come on, please clap. but no, she looks really, really good. She has all the moves from all previous versions. She even has one of her grapples from the Street Fighter, the OVA anime that she never actually had, where she grabbed the guy's head, spun around, and like swung behind him and cracked the back behind both of his knees. That is from the anime.
I thought you were gonna say something from Cannon Spike.
No, it's not. No, it's not from Cannon Spike.
I thought Chun-Li did that in the Vega fight when Vega was in her apartment.
Nope, that is Cammy. She when they first reveal that she's been mind wiped and is like assassinating people. That's how she assassinates some guy.
Oh, okay.
Is she like twists his head, swings back around through the legs, and then cracks back behind both of his knees.
Okay.
And she gets that move, and that is so cool. It is so cool.
Man, the Street Fighter OVAs were great.
They were pretty good. But no, this rounds out the entire cast
Is that the same one where Ryu and Ken have a very, very close relationship?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. That is the one.
They drive past a billboard that literally says gay on it.
Yeah, and that's the one where that's also the one where they keep calling Shadow Lu Shadow Law.
Shadow Law.
But this cast looks great. But no, it looks like a lot of fun. So, okay, some of the other things we have, Suicide Squad does not look fun.
No, they made it. They took something that could have been a fun. I thought it was going to be like the Arkham games.
Yeah,
where it's like fun melee stuff, but it's all shooting. It's Destiny, but with DC characters.
It's weird, and it's weird that they picked this cast to be the Suicide Squad because okay, you have Deadshot. His power is guns.
His gun.
That's fine. Harley Quinn, you can kind of say, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, she's used guns in the past, but she's always been like, a mallet or a baseball bat.
Right, but she can use
using a gun isn't a big
isn't
stretch.
a stretch.
It's kind of lame.
The one that you had a problem with was
King Shark.
King Shark, who is a man who is a shark.
Yeah, his whole thing is he's got brute strength and he bites.
No gun, grappling hook, grapple gun.
Only gun. Yeah,
only gun.
Only gun.
The one that bothers me the most, though, Captain Boomerang. It's in his name. His power is boomerangs.
He throws the boomerang, but it's to teleport.
But he uses guns in this. Why?
Can they at least give him like a boomerang gun?
He already has a projectile. It's in his name. It is boomerangs. He's not Captain Gunman.
Boomer gun.
Now that just sounds like a Mega Man villain.
Yeah.
Boomer Quanger.
Yeah. I thought it would be like a multiplayer melee beat 'em up kind of thing,
and instead it's just guns.
Yeah, it's just Destiny, but you play as
another
characters,
another looter shooter.
Yeah, Schluter.
Get in line, Destiny, and what Anthem tried to be, and
that's what I don't like these like looter shooters where you play as like a defined character. Because you don't have you lose the agency over the character.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't my guy. This is just
a gun nuts version of my guy.
Yeah, this is Captain Boomerang, but I pick what gun he has.
Yeah, dumb. All right, pick one more from the state of play, and then we'll do a couple of Pokemon Directs.
I suppose Resident Evil 4 is looking real good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's remake one of the best ones.
Yeah. I would argue it's one of the ones that least needs remade.
Sure.
Well, yeah, it's been re-released more times than Skyrim and GTA 5.
Yeah. And it still looks pretty good. And it's still extremely playable, but like this new version does look like it is like ground up different. So it'll be fun to
they left in a lot of the goofy stuff, like the mine carts and stuff like that. They left in. They didn't make it all serious. They left in the goofy.
That's still Resident Evil. It's not Resident Evil.
I feel like this was one of the
goofy.
first Resident Evils that didn't center around specifically zombies, I think.
Yeah, the Plagas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And their heads blow up and like a tentacle comes out. Resident Evil 4 is really good.
Oh yeah. Resident Evil was one of my favorites for the longest time. Still kind of is.
Yeah, I've been a real fan of the franchise. The last like 3 or 4 games they put out have been phenomenal.
Yeah. All right, let's switch over to the Pokemon Direct. They spoke a lot about games that we don't care about. I
don't think anybody does.
Three announcements in a row, we said, and here's the game no one plays.
And then they were progressively like
worse. They had some announcements for Pokemon Unite. They're putting in Sword Dog into that.
Oh boy, Legends Pokemon.
That game's got some sort of like esports.
There's an esports thing. Sure, some people do play that. And then they had Pokemon Cafe Mix, which I guess is a good time waster.
Somebody's mom probably plays it.
It's a fun time waster tappy tap game.
I mean, it's cute.
Yeah,
I'll give it that.
Yeah.
It's cute, but
and then they had
it's no Sailor Moon drops.
Well, that's true.
That game, I don't think that game even exists anymore.
No, you can't play that anymore.
Because I used to have it on my phone.
they
nuked that from orbit.
They did, yes. They did a thing for Pokemon Masters DX.
Oh yeah, the trainer one, the one where you gotcha trainers.
Yeah, the game whose name I had a hard time thinking of just now.
And when you put it in a hashtag on Twitter, it looks like it says something nasty.
Oh, looks like it says something nasty. Yeah. The two big things that are worth talking about, I think, and if I'm wrong on this, let me know. But they have a new DLC coming out for Violet and Scarlet.
Hopefully, they'll get things a little more patched up by that time.
Well, the first part of it doesn't come out until fall, so they got
time.
They hopefully have time. They had enough time to come up with one singular art for it.
There was no footage of
zero footage
this at all. They used a lot of live action stuff.
Yeah, and that means there's a lot of live action just in general in this Direct. If you think about it, there's a lot of live action.
Well, they're leaning real hard into the whole AR, the world connected to Pokemon.
Yeah.
That did for thing for a while.
Yeah, that's true. But the DLCs look fun. They look like they're going to be different, interesting deviations from the main story.
Yeah, they have cool
Scarlet
themes.
Violet.
Plus the whole, Japanese summer festival style. I mean, it's a staple in anime, and it's such a beautiful look anyway.
You put on your yukata, you eat your takoyaki, and you watch the fireworks.
Exactly. And you pay your respects at the shrine.
Yeah, and maybe a girl gives you a smooch.
Yeah, I mean, like all the anime.
Yeah.
I just hope that these DLC have enough content to be worth the price, because you looked it up and it was like
$40.
It was $35
plus tax, and that's a lot. That's more than half the cost of the game. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's the one thing I will never understand is why do DLCs have to be so expensive?
I would say if it were $20.
Yeah, that would be reasonable.
Reasonable $20. $35. I don't know why that extra $15 makes it that much more unreasonable.
They should have just folded it in with the PlayStation Plus Premium, or not PlayStation Plus,
the Nintendo
Online Premium.
If it wasn't a Pokemon game owned by the Pokemon Company and
it would have been
amalgamation of businesses, it would have been.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the Nintendo Online, did you see Metroid Fusion is
coming?
out?
Yeah, it's coming on the 9th.
Yeah, it's like in less than a week. And that's awesome.
Yeah, because the 7th is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's a very good one.
Yep. And the last thing...
Go to the festival. Maybe one of those quintuplets you've been tutoring will smooch you.
And the last thing for the Pokemon Direct, the one that I'm actually most interested in, Pokemon Sleep. The thing that was mentioned once and was almost completely forgotten about. It's coming.
The Pokemon game you play by not playing it.
Yeah, you play it by sleeping, which interests me, one, because I like to sleep, and two, in real life, I work in
the sleep industry.
in the sleep medicine industry. So it is kind of interesting that they're building a sleep tracker, and the whole thing is depending on what type of sleep you get during the night, like how deep a sleep you get into, what's what I'm assuming. You have the possibility to catch Pokemon in rare sleeping positions.
You're collecting sleeping Pokemon NFTs.
And I think it's an interesting way to gamify, sleep and trying to get better sleep.
I mean, it's like
that.
Pokemon Go. It gamified walking.
Yeah.
The Pokemon brush your teeth. I forget
Pokemon-
what it was called, but it was Pokemon brush your teeth.
Pokemon wash your drawers.
Pokemon wash your hands.
Pokemon go to the polls.
Pokemon get your flu vaccine.
But they're gamifying sleep, and it has a connectivity with Pokemon Go, and I'm assuming it'll have Scarlet and Violet connectivity as well.
Yeah,
Especially
it has-
since the Pokemon Plus.
Go Plus Plus.
Yeah, it has
Go
a little
Plus.
device with a terrible name.
Oh, it's awful.
The Pokemon Go Plus Plus.
This is the third Pokemon Go related device.
Yes.
We had the original Pokemon Go Plus, which was like a wristband with a little charm on it. Then you had the Pokemon Go, Pokeball Go, and now
which was a controller also.
yeah,
yeah,
it also
wait-
functioned as a Joy-Con.
yes,
And that was kind of fun.
which came out when Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu came out, which was this Pokemon Go on the Switch.
And now this is a puck that you sleep in your bed next to get better sleep readings.
It also has like Pikachu white noise stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
The Pikachu ASMR machine.
It's sleep paralysis Pokemon.
Oh no.
Don't wake up with a Sableye on your chest.
A Gengar watches you from the corner.
Yeah, eats your dreams.
It looks interesting. It looks like fun. It's kind of dumb, but I will get it because I do try out a lot of different sleep trackers and apps and things like that because I legitimately am curious how closely they actually get to recording sleep. I imagine the Go Plus, the sleep and the Go Plus will have a tiny microphone built in that picks up on like the sounds of deep breathing, snoring, that sort of thing.
Sleep farting.
Sleep farting, yeah.
Hopefully it records your sleep
it's called
farts.
it's called your Ghastly meter. But it probably does that. It probably, if I were to guess, it probably also picks up on sounds of movement. It probably also the Go Plus might have an accelerometer in it to track actual movement. I can't imagine it's going to get too crazy. There's nothing that's getting connected physically to your body, so I imagine it's not going to be like.
I mean, when they created the Pokewalker, they accidentally created one of the most accurate step trackers ever.
They kind of
invented.
did. So that's so. Let's see if
So who
lightning.
knows?
Let's see if lightning strikes twice.
Yeah.
You never know. But that's.
I hate the idea of having a device sitting in my bed, though.
You just put it under your pillow.
I put my arms under my pillow.
Then you set it on top of your head. I don't know. I don't know your life.
My cat's just gonna lay on it, and then it's gonna track her sleep.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we've been noticing a high amount of purring. And also your body temperature is elevated quite a bit. You may want to get, that fever taken care of.
We should probably go ahead and wrap things up for the week. You have been listening to Nerd Overload. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find us each and every day over at nerdoverload.com.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Nerd Overload now.
You can email us at staff@nerdoverload.com.
You can give us a call and leave us a message on the Nerd Overload hotline. That number's 419-561-5556. Let us know what Pokemon you would want to spoon you in your sleep.
I'll have to ponder that one. There are over 1,000 Pokemon.
Wigglytuff.
Wigglytuff?
Wigglytuff.
Anyway, you can also find all of our back episodes on various podcast apps such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and more. And finally, I'd like to thank Parker for helping man the Facebook page, finding all the cool news articles for us, and David Pencil for use of our intro and outro. You can find more of his stuff over at davidpencil.com. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
You know who would be really bad is Greninja with that big wet tongue on the back of your head. Oh.
Ugh.